And in there, you saw how blues came from Africa and how blues influenced all type of music, even hip hop.
I saw something where somebody was talking about, there was an African girl. She was talking about how she felt so represented by this film, and how the blues comes from Africa. let me play that one. Hold on a second. Let me play this one here. Hold on. 1 second. Let me get this pulled up for y'all. All right, here we go right here. This is what she had to say.
Good morning. I dreamt that Michael B. Jordan bit me in my sleep. You know how I'm into like spirituality, and I'm very interested by what our ancestors' beliefs here, like the traditional African, our ancestors' beliefs here, like the traditional African beliefs, and the way they presented music, just this magical thing. And in there, you saw how blues came from Africa and how blues influenced all type of music, even hip hop and rap music today was just beautiful. And visually, I had the chills, like the way the camera was swirling. When I saw the guy, les gars là qui sautent des espèces de concourants, I had chills because I was like, thank you, representation, representation. Africa needs representation in cinema and big films like this.
All right. And so, yeah, my take on that right there, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she's just confused.
She trolling. Nope. We are not doing that today, Sincere. We're not.
I'm speaking for myself. No. I'm speaking for myself. Y'all know me. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's what I think, because I kind of saw this coming before I even saw her post or any post like it. I kind of saw this coming from the film because of the way that Ryan Coogler told the story. You know what I'm saying? Because he was respectful enough to include some of our culture that was retained from Africa, because that is true. And I know a lot of people do disagree with that. A lot of people just disagree with the part that we got anything to do with Africa whatsoever. You know, I'm not here to argue with y'all today about that. You know, some people just think we ain't never got nothing to do with Africa whatsoever. We ain't never been over there. Our people always been here since the beginning of the planet. And I understand that there's a lot of people out there that come from that. But from my studies and the things that I've read, I understand that no matter how you look at it, whether you want to look at it through transatlantic slave trade or you want to look at it through the people that came before Columbus, they came from somewhere. From what I read, you know, I read Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. You know what I'm saying? The African presence in America. So whether it was in antiquity or whether you're talking about, you know, 400 years ago, either way, all roads going to lead back to Africa at some point. And while foundational Black American culture is a very unique culture created by us here on this land, some of what we've done is based on what we've retained from those times. You know what I'm saying? That's just how things work. But that doesn't negate the uniqueness of the things that we created. So blues didn't come from Africa. Blues came from our uniqueness here. Same thing with hoodoo. Hoodoo is not an African spiritual system. Although some of the culture and practices that we retained from the continent was inserted into the new things that we created here. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I say that about, I don't, you know, she just didn't come across vitriolic or anything. I just think, you know, she don't know enough. And based on what she saw, I can see how she could gather that. When you talk about that scene, which I said was my favorite scene in the movie, where he shows inside the juke joint all of the different things that came from blues, but he also showed some of where the blues came from, which included like the African griot or shaman or whatever it is. That was included in the film. So I can see how that visual can, bring about that understanding for somebody like her. But I could be wrong.
So Dewan, who is our music dictionary / Bible, Dewan B, shout out to Dewan B.
Shout out to Dewan B.
He says, question, how can the blues come from Africa if none of the instruments nor music scale or language spoken came from Africa?
Facts.
When the 380K African slaves imported went to the Carolinas, while the blues is a Mississippi Delta sound, help me figure this out, please.
This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. And shout out to Dewan B. You know what I'm saying? He nailed it. And I think he goes on to say, and before y'all bring up the drums,
there's a video.
Huh?
I just put it in our materials.
But yeah, he said before y'all go to bring up the drum set was created by foundational Black Americans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And every music all over the world has some type of drum, but it's only when it comes to us that everything got to be attributed to Africa or somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else is allowed to have their uniqueness, even though they got drums too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there was that. And then there was also even the actress who played Annie in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I saw where she did an interview talking about the character that she played, who was the hoodoo priestess or practitioner, if you will. And she was talking about how playing this role connected her with her Nigerian ancestry. I don't think I have that in here.
I didn't see it.
I don't think I had that in there, but that was one of the things that threw me off a little bit too.
Absolutely, I felt such a connection to my motherland, Nigeria, through Annie, through hoodoo and voodoo and the research.
But what I did get out of what she was saying was how us foundational Black Americans, we have been the ones that have upheld Africa globally. We have anything positive, any positive light that has been shed on Africa, for the most part, has been upheld by foundational Black Americans.
No one hates Africa more than Africans.
Right. And she's from Europe. She's from Britain. And so, she's like a first generation or second generation British Nigerian. And so in just one or two generations, she's already severed from her culture back in Africa. And she finds a connection to it through playing one of us, a foundational Black American. That's what I found to be interesting about what she was saying. But it was also like throwing me off a little bit because, like, okay, you're making it seem like hoodoo comes from Africa when it doesn't.
Right.
Hoodoo is uniquely foundational Black American practice, just like the blues.
Maybe there was a little deception there.
These are the things that are developed from us for our survival.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Us being out there in them fields, us understanding, the botanical world and all of that, and our connection to the spirit realm through those things. You know what I'm saying? We have people like George Washington Carver and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And that practice is something very unique to this land. Doesn't come from Africa. It's not voodoo. It's not another African spiritual system. It's a uniquely foundational Black American practice. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Christians feel for each other and love each other no matter what religion, race, or culture. We all American, but we love the rest of the world. Let's keep this our message. Okay. All right. What was that, Nicey? You showing something?
I was showing the book, Rootwork. Mysteries of Rootwork.
Oh.
This is a foundational Black American, book on rootwork and conjure. So yeah.
I don't got that book. Who wrote that book?
I got this from the Hidden History Museum.
Oh, Oh, is that okay? Is that the one that you get when you buy the deodorant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, because like I said, even last week, that's not something that I've known about my whole life. You know what I'm saying? That's something I started learning about in recent times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I was like, for him to put that in the movie, like, nah, he got to be tapped in. You know what I'm saying? And he confirmed that. He
Mm-hmm.
confirmed that.
What you think, Roland Martin? How do you think Roland Martin's gonna feel about him, identifying himself as a foundational Black American?
You know what it is, man. And I can't speak for Roland, of course. Roland is Roland, but I think and we talked about this before. A lot of people, they just don't like Tariq.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't that they don't have an understanding of what we talking about. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? They know what it is, but a lot of people just don't like Tariq, and so he the one that coined the term, coined the phrase. So that just grinds their gears
Right.
automatically. You know what I'm saying? And
Which is sad.
it is what it is as far as that. But shout out to Tariq, man. He coined the term. It caught on and it's sticking.
Right.
It's sticking. You know what I'm saying? We have gone mainstream thoroughly.
Right. Because they said that this was foundational Black American was something that's only on social media. No
Right.
one is talking about this outside of social media, is what we
Right.
were hearing, remember?
Right. It's only on Twitter.
Right.
It's only on Twitter. But nah, man, and this has been a short amount of time. And of
It
course,
has
we
been.
do have social media,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I'm saying, a better way to communicate with each other. You know what I'm saying? So that of course, things like this can spread faster. But this is a short amount of time.
Yep.
It's a very short amount of time. People are getting on code with the message, with the language, all of that.
What did our sister Vicky Dillard say? Power is coming from the ground up.
Right. Facts.
Yet another one, from New Black Media. We've been ahead of the game, even with reparations. When we were talking about reparations, they were trying to basically, quiet us down, try to overshadow shadow our message. But then they had to get on with it, even though they don't mean anything by it. Now they want to start talking about HR 40, which we know has been on the books for 30, 40 years, but
Right.
it's forced the conversation because of the Black grassroots,
Right. Facts.
because
It's
of the New Black
undeniable.
Media. More than anything, I'll say New Black Media and the Black grassroots.
From these very small circles,
Right.
very small circles of us getting on the same page, getting on code,
Old.
making that vibratory frequency increase.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Like he
And we
said, the
here now.
300. The 300.
We are here now.